Sean Carter, you may begin.
My name's Sean Carter and I'm doing a presentation on sports coaching. I feel that sports coaching is important because it helps with development and participation of young people. It can also help to get sports stars that are in the foundation spectrum of the sports development continuum and actually rise them up and possibly be elite when they're older. So,
Just give me a double tap.
right, the learning outcomes are, learning outcome 1 is to demonstrate the knowledge and determinants of an effective coach. Learning outcome 2 is present and evaluate and interpret the principles of behaviour in current coaching practices. And learning outcome 3 is evaluate the needs of young people as they participate in sport. And learning outcome 4 is a practical session where you have to undertake it and evaluate a coaching session for a contrasting sports performer. And there's my contents page for you, Aaron, just to let you know what slide, what it references. Right. Introduction to sports coaching. I've got like loads of notes on it as well. So, a sports coach is someone who helps in the progress and development of a sports person or a young child. They can vary from being a participation coach or a foundation coach to going up right to the elite and getting paid to do professionally. I believe it's an integral part of progress for an athlete. I mean, sometimes they can become mentors and they can look up to as a father figure. They're involved in some part of development and direction for a sports team or for a sports company. Their directive is just to achieve success whatever way there is. They have different ways of achieving success. To become a sports coach in football, for example, you have to complete several courses, several hours, several weekends of courses and integral training. But certain coaches have like different philosophies in how they like to coach. So like they can provide success and failure with that one. They have different ways of measuring success. Have you got any questions on that slide, Aaron?
I'm good on that one.
Right, a coaching philosophy. I believe that all good coaches have to have a philosophy to achieve success. To create one, I think you need to know your athlete's strengths and your athlete's weaknesses, like all around the team. So, for example, I believe that Jose Mourinho's philosophy is he likes to play mind games with his opponent before a game, in press conferences, just so he kind of gets in their head, so they can't function properly. And he's got a very winning mentality. He always strives for victory, he settles for nothing less. I mean, after the recent 4-2 loss to Bradford, he actually said, "It's a disgrace that we lost to Bradford." I mean, no, I don't think he's being any disrespect by that. I just think he does not like losing. He's a very, very bad loser. Other coaches' philosophies could be like team bonding, for example. They could get all the team together and make sure they're a tightly knit group. And other philosophies like the team bonding one, they can also have the downsides as well. For example, if two players don't get along in a squad and they try team bonding, it could not work and it could go, like, for example, the opposite way, and then the team could just fall apart. But I think coaches need to have a strict mentality when coaching with young kids. Like when they're in the foundation stage, I feel like you can't push them too much, but you have to push them to get up, to go up the continuum. The next slide. The next slide is coaching motivation. As a sports coach, you need to be a motivator. You can't, for instance, take a session and not be motivated yourself to achieve something in that session without motivating everybody else. I think all kids need, in my opinion, is a push in the right direction, and they can gain skills, and but motivation can increase. It can increase confidence, participation, ability, and passion for the sport. Like, for instance, if a child is in the foundation section of the continuum, with ability, I think if you motivates them and they want to learn more, they'll take time out of their own life to learn more. Like for example, when people were kids, they went out in back garden and practiced and everything. And I think that's also down to motivation of the coach for pushing them to do that extra bit. Our next slide is sports coaching. In coaching, you can have different levels of coaching. For example, you can have instructors, you can have participation coaches, you can have development coaches, and you can have high performance coaches. Instructors, basically, it's just like you have a golf teacher who's got his own business, got his own way of doing things. But for example, he teaches you only recreationally, like he does it for his job. Like it's not a full-time job, if you know what I mean. You can do it. You can just instruct on part-time. Participation coaches, I believe that's with working with kids, like for example, like play quick cricket because you're not playing full-on cricket. But it's quite fun for the kids, the participation coaches, because they work with the kids to get them involved in participating in sport. That's what they call participation coaches. You can have little athletics clubs. Like when you were a kid, you had like for mine, for instance, was Chesterfield Athletics Club. I used to go there quite often. And I really enjoyed the coaching there. The performance or high development coaches, for example, like college lecturers like yourself, Aaron, and youth team coaches like the youth team coaches at the academy at Chesterfield or academy anywhere really. The high performance coaches, now these are the ones that, for instance, like they work in institutes of sport such as the EIS in Sheffield, and they just. I always do my examples in football because I enjoy football and play football. So I'm going to use on that one. I'm going to use Sir Alex Ferguson. When he was a professional sports manager, he was the highest of the high, and obviously that's why he was getting paid the big bucks to train his team of stars. Leadership styles. For example, I've done your first one's autocrative. Autocrative, it's you can have an autocratic leadership style, but you can have a demand style coaching. I think they're both exactly the same, they're linking together. But for example, an autocratic coach, it's quite a common leadership style because coaches like to get things done their way and as quick as they want it. But I feel like the style of coaching is more suited for an old school coach, a coach that's been in the business a long time, because it's obviously got results and they've stuck with it. Basically what it is, I'm going to use this little term here, this is my way or the highway. For example, if you don't cooperate with the manager and listen to him and listen to what he's saying to you, it's basically he'll either leave you out of squad or he'll just leave you altogether, something like that. It's a very strict chain of command. It goes down from the lower coaches, like for instance say in Sporting Futures you'll have your lower coaches, you'll have your head coaches, and you'll have your managers of the districts and stuff like that. But if you don't adhere to the rules, what they'll do is there's strict consequences that'll come with it. It doesn't take no for an answer or any back chat whatsoever. But I feel like with this leadership style, if anything does go wrong, like for instance if you're shouting at them too much, you can cause disruption within the team and cause rifts. Democratic coaching, that's pretty much the opposite. It's pretty much give and take. For instance, it involves a Q&A. For example, if you've done a 15-yard pass in football, you could stop the play and ask what could you have done better there, where could you have played it, and what you can do to improve. Back again. Right, and that is a picture of the sports development continuum. I believe, in my opinion, a young child should always start in the foundation spectrum. For example, doing it at school recreationally and everything. What else is there? I think if you actually chucked them in at the participation stage, or maybe even trying to go to the performance, for example, going straight into an academy, I think it can ruin a child's love for the game, love for the sport. Yeah. And then it could actually but they've put a foundation. You can create leaders because, end of the day, a school goes in a hierarchy. Like for example, the more sporty kids will get to choose their teams, and obviously the least active kids, they always get chose last. Next slide is discipline in foundation sport. There are many pros and cons to discipline in sports, but here are just a few. The psychological excerpts from bad coaching is you lose confidence, you lose your interest in the sport if you have a bad coach because he's not teaching you anything that's of any interest to you. You lose drive and desire to do the sport. But the positive aspects, you can gain confidence if you've got a good coach. You can get a positive drive and a mindset to progress and continue and hone your skills. And then you can also gain the skills to progress. Right, and my final slide is role models. I think this, out of everything, everything to do with the coaching, is the most important thing. I feel a child needs a role model to look up to, and being a coach, they may look up to you. So you need to make sure that your conduct is appropriate and apply a strict code of conduct that will make them role models for the future generation. For instance, Cristiano Ronaldo is a role model because he gets all the press for the right reasons. He's obviously a world-class footballer and gets loads of press, but yet Wayne Rooney's still a role model, but he has had some bad publicity in the past. So for instance, if kids look up to him, they may want to follow his every move. So when Wayne Rooney went out and he got fined several thousands of pounds, he went out on a 5:30. He finally come in from his booze at 5:30 in the morning. I feel like as a young kid, you won't want to be looking up to a sports star who's professional going out until 5:30 in the morning. But I believe sport in school is deteriorating vastly. And I believe that with recent obesity rates rising, the country is crying out for new, young and vibrant coaches to make sessions fun. For instance, the possible FIFA president, David Ginola, believes that equality in sport is the highest order, really. For instance, he's suggesting that women footballers get the same recognition as the male ones. For instance, they could get 300 grand, exactly the same as what Wayne Rooney does. And I think that actually helped participation in sport, down to the fact that I feel if a girl knows that a female footballer is on 100 and something grand a week, I feel like when there's football on in a session, they'll want to join in rather than sit out and like, oh, I don't want to do this, it's football. Yeah, and I've just got a little quote on here from that as well, from BBC News. Yeah, and that's pretty much my presentation done, Aaron.
Excellent. Just going to ask you a few questions,
Yep.
Sean. In your coaching practice, the things that you do, which areas do you think you need to develop to really help learners travel some distance?
What, as in me personally, like from confidence?
From what you do, the principles of coaching, your communication?
Yeah, I believe, obviously, I don't really believe in autocratic coaching. I believe that if you get on with the learner, like obviously not in a joking around way, like messing around, I believe if you get on with the learner and the learner trusts you, they'll actually trust you to get stuff done in the session, and then they'll listen to you, take on board what you said, come back for the next session. And I just believe if you're good and you communicate with them well, you can actually progress the participant. Good.
And what do you think in the terms of learning outcome 3, evaluating, what do you think about sport and a young person's social development?
I believe, like, for instance, as I said on my slides, children in schools have hierarchies. Obviously, when you're playing sport, for instance, like for example, you've got the kids that are really good at football, go first. And I feel like if you get good at sport, you've got good coaches, you've got good people around you. I believe when you've been coached, it can make you more confident. Like for instance, you can go out and talk to people you wouldn't normally talk to other coaches. And yeah, that's that question.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.